would hate to have you two as children. Like
just oh yeah.
the amount of like family pranks I have heard about over the years, like, oh my god. Oh,
Dude,
just insanity.
you
The fucking Kirby brothers just running amok.
you know that fucking like
Lots of Diet Coke.
okay, so you know how you have like a gallon of water in your garage and like it's always like almost half empty?
No,
Sure.
what the fuck are you talking about?
So
Like-
okay, well we have a gallon of water in our garage that's always like half empty, and I gave that to Dad for Christmas. I just put it in one of those little bags and put the whole thing up with duct tape, so he
No, I
wouldn't be
guess
able
you
to tell.
started that though. No, the main point of that story is that you think it's normal to just have a half gallon of water in a garage. Like that was like, what are you talking about?
Like,
Like-
guys, you know how you just have like a half gallon of like kerosene just sitting around in your garage.
that makes more sense.
So you know how you have just like just random fucking uranium sitting in your room? Yep. Okay, so we're actually live. Everybody,
Oh, good. Okay.
welcome back to another episode of Crook and Murder. I will be your host, Kenny Crook Irish Kirby. You probably know me as that one guy who was playing Dead Cells and royally sucked at it.
That's everybody.
I am joined today by my co-host Maxwell Murder.
I go by Maxwell Murder and my. Oh, actually, I was gonna say my tagline, but I'm gonna wait till the end for that.
All right, so Maxwell Murder and his tagline. You know us as Crook and Murder, and today we're joined by special guest Alex.
Now I know what you're thinking. It's been 2 or 3 times in a row that he's been here. Is he really a special guest? Yes.
Yeah.
Always temporary. You never know if I'm not going to show up.
Alex is special. I don't think anybody's ever denied that. And today we're gonna be talking about ley lines, those magnetic lines that crisscross the Earth that may or may not be landing pads for aliens.
Or bullshit.
Or just complete bullshit. And so I think today we're gonna kind of go through it and debunk it, or maybe even agree with it, or just even debate it. And I do want I want everybody to know out there that could be a college student. This is not Get Laid Lines. That is a different podcast. Go ahead and find that one because I guarantee you it will help you.
I would also recommend, if you are a college student, do not include this in your master's thesis or your dissertation of your PhD, because you'll get laughed out of the room.
Or even when you're really just talking to anybody.
Or they'll
no,
think you're a fucking genius.
Because then everyone's going to think you're too smart because you learned it from us, Crook and Murder. Spread the word. We're the best.
Source us in your dissertations.
Actually, yeah, and then teachers will know about us. Totally source us.
Absolutely, because we tell the truth.
Maxwell Murder, you want to get this thing kicked off?
Yeah, I do. Also, I guess this isn't really first date material either, just to warn you. All right. So, ley lines. Just to kind of kick us off on the ley lines thing. My personal opinion is that I don't have one. I don't get him. Okay. All right. So the concept, and a lot of this information that we've dug up is very new to me. So the concept of ley lines we sort of developed in the early 20th century Europe. I'll also warn everyone, just as a trigger warning, as we do in every episode, we are going to bring up the Nazis.
Oh yeah, the Nazis.
Saw that. Totally are.
They've literally been a part of every single fucking episode. You can't escape the Nazis for anything early to late 20th century.
And anything mystical, those motherfuckers decided to they just threw shit at the wall. All right, so basically they're alignments, and this is hard to break down, but it's interesting. They are alignments of straight lines drawn between various like structures and landmarks on the Earth that intersect. So ley line believers argue that these lines represent Earth energies coursing through the planet, and landmarks were deliberately placed there by ancient civilizations by some sort of lost science or something. The cross sections of these lines are said to harness mystical energy, and they also, and this is the other part, they
There
also
can only be one.
Well, there's a couple of theories here. The other theory is that they are guides for alien spacecraft to land here. And this, I'm just going to say this also, scientists view this esoteric movement of pseudo archaeology and pseudoscience.
Yeah, it's complete fucking okay. When you kind of like,
it's arbitrary.
It's arbitrary.
The Highlander theory.
And then when
Yeah,
it's like actually proven that they could be wrong, they wouldn't. They go ahead and say it's a matter of faith. Like, at what point does arguing with goddamn Indiana Jones make sense to anybody?
Well, how is it pseudo then? It's not pseudo if it's up to faith. Then it's just pure faith-based opinions. Like, what? There's nothing pseudo about it.
I mean, these scientist guys, they may have gotten it right. Well, let's see. We're going to break it down. We're in the origins.
Next week, we'll have Neil deGrasse Tyson on, and he'll answer all of our questions.
The grand debunker. To ruin everybody's fun, really.
Yeah.
So
all of you are wrong. This is the first thing that Neil deGrasse Tyson says.
His first thing is going to be how did you get a hold of my publicist, and why did my publicist even agree to this?
How did I book this?
Yeah.
So, okay. So if you take a pyramid, because we're going to go into pyramids, I'm just going to kind of sit pyramid. Take a pyramid, take the Pyramid of Giza. It's got four sides, and it is righted to true north and south, the directions of the Earth. And you take the diagonal line of, say, this one that goes like north west, or the one that goes northeast, or whatever. You take that line. Eventually, around the globe, it's going to intersect something important.
All right, so everybody got that like crazy math? Here's what it is in a fucking nutshell. Stonehenge connects to the fucking Great Giza Pyramid, and in the middle of it is Easter Island. Okay?
Yeah.
What they're basically saying is that there's a strange alignment between ancient artifacts before the modern day invention of what we have nowadays, which is all like electronics and shit like that. These people actually believe that there was a much more spiritual side to things in the Neolithic era of humanity.
Yeah. Or, oh god, this is it's so hard. Because so like Stonehenge is a good example, right? There's some weird power there, right? There's something there. But the fact that, like, if you draw a line from Stonehenge to Giza and Easter Island lands in the middle of it, doesn't necessarily mean that those weird happenings are because of some weird line.
Well, of course it does. What are you, an idiot? I don't.
Are you trying to bring your science into this, Max?
These are proven facts that they are in a row.
I don't like the role of debunker. I'm not saying this because I like saying it. It's because we need to hear it.
Well, here's the thing. Jumping ahead, they could have been onto something. And
okay,
I'm going to play the devil's advocate against you guys as a purveyor of ley lines, guys. We're going to have fun with this one.
Yeah. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so the idea that certain ancient structures can be aligned was originally proposed, but in 1846 by Reverend Edward Duke, who never touched a boy once, who observed that medieval churches and prehistoric monuments aligned with each other somehow. In 1909, the idea was further expanded upon in Germany. Um,
Huh.
huh.
Nazis are back.
Yeah, here we go. William Tootit
Thought it
argued.
was William Turd.
It's William Turdit. William Tootit argued the presence of linear alignments connecting several sites, but suggested they have astronomical, or I got stuck on it, or religious function. The idea was called Linen, or holy lines.
Okay, so here's the thing, and this is gonna be the one time I'm ever gonna say this: the Nazis might be right.
Oh,
Well,
that's it. Pack up our bags. Podcast over. We're out of here. PC woke left. We're done. We apologize.
Only in that circumstance, that one circumstance.
Okay, so the Nazis threw a lot of specifically Adolf Hitler and the guy who ran the SS, whoever that douchebag was. They really liked
Goebbels.
No, it wasn't Goebbels. It was the other guy. They threw a lot of shit at the wall, like mystical shit, and something is gonna be right out of all that spaghetti.
Yeah, I mean,
so
they were huge on the occult and like finding the mystic artifacts, and technically, there are lines in the earth that are magnetic that produce energy, and it's not too hard to say that if you've been far enough away from electronics, like people in the Bronze or Neolithic era are, they're probably more tuned to it simply because that's their nature.
I also vote that a lot of shrooms, man. I think Reverend Edward Duke liked his shroom tea a little too much.
Oh,
William couldn't. I'm telling you, mushrooms. I feel like mushrooms can explain almost everything that we talk about on this podcast.
I 100% agree on that one. Yeah, well, here's the other thing. You got to think that Hitler also believed that, one, the Earth was either hollow, or two, it was flat, or three, both. There's a story of him telling his generals or his admirals that this is not based on hollow Earth, that they could fire like V2 rockets from the inside of the Earth to England and destroy it from underneath. And his generals were like, huh, that's an order?
And it's a wonder why Germany lost.
Look, okay. In every other instance, the Nazis are complete dumbasses.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good with strategy, but that's about it.
No, actually, they kind of weren't, considering that Hitler thought he could blow up England from the other side of the Earth.
Okay, yeah, no.
I mean, the undercrust, the concave side of the spoon of the hollow Earth.
And that, look, everybody out there, that is the official podcast stance. Nazis suck.
Yeah, I do want to say that when I've met my girlfriend's grandmother a few times, and tonight she gave me $25 cashier's check as a present, and I was very grateful for it. And I said to her, in Hebrew we call it gelt. We give the kids money on the holidays. And she was like, "Oh, you're Jewish. I'm very fond of the Jewish people."
Very fond. Yes. Did you start stroking your head like a dog?
Just like, this guy's gonna make me a lot of money.
God damn it. We're done. No, she's very nice. Actually, I call her Ma. She's very nice. Okay, let's get back to ley lines. The idea of the ley lines as pathways was first conceived by English and antiquarian. Say that antiquarian. Antiquarian, yeah.
Antiquarian. That's probably it.
And wealthy businessman. That's the key part. Alfred Watkins in 1921. He was driving across the hills near Black Warden in Hertfordshire. Upon Bristol, when he looked across the landscape and noted that several features kind of lined up. So he started drawing lines across his old ordnance survey maps and realized that several structures formed a pattern of a straight line. He concluded that ancient British societies could have used these lines as pathways, with monuments themselves being markers along the path to guide them.
Okay, I'm
Oh
actually
no, that's hobbits, right?
Yeah,
right. I'm actually going to go against me here and point out that he never once made it about aliens. He actually had a really logical thought that during
yeah,
the
he had survey maps.
yeah he had survey maps and he was looking at these ancient structures and went, hey, you know what? These guys are probably using these as landmarks. Like
Yeah.
if I want to get to the store, I'm gonna be like, oh, Starbucks is over there. That's the landmark, you know?
But what if I want to go power up my ancient battery at the magnetic, line?
Well, the magnetic well.
Yeah.
This is
I
called
will
well.
say though, I do agree. This started off pretty down to earth, logical, and as we will see, it's only after the invention of LSD that aliens became involved. Coincidence? I don't know. Is there a causation and effect? Who knows?
I mean,
Because
Alex
I'm a
is
real
right here.
scientist. There's only correlation.
Yeah, you can't really prove a negative, but you can't really not prove a negative. All right, so he wrote a book in 1922 called Early British Trackways.
Whoa, do that again.
Okay. Early British Trackways.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Formulating some of these ideas. In 1925, he wrote another book called Old Straight Track.
Old Straight Track, good boy.
Thumbs up.
Beta. The book argued that the lines could be drawn between significant historical, medieval, prehistoric, and Roman structures, and these represented ancient trade routes. He cited Norman Lockyer, an English astronomer, who argued that ancient alignments could be oriented towards the sunrise and the sunset of the solstices. We know that is actually fact now.
Yeah, that is a fact, and that is that's probably why everything's aligned, because the southern hemisphere sees its constellations, and the fucking northern hemisphere sees its as well.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, we know Stonehenge is like aligned for the solstices, so.
And the pyramids, which we may or may not find out here soon, were actually done by alignments that are very doable within this time period.
Okay. Well, I like it. So hold on. Let's see. He's okay. I lost my place. Watkins. Okay, so he coined this. Watkins named these lines lays, derived from the Old English term for cleared space, though it did so reluctantly. Interesting. He created this name because he found it to be part of place names for various settlements that fell within the lines he traced. Interesting. More evidence. He further observed that many places bear the name Cole and Dodd, which he took to mean Coleman or Dodman.
Both trades during that time, in case anybody was wondering.
Okay, we're going to figure out what a Dodman is later, but I assume. I think it was. I was just saying that it was probably, the weird thin hoppy man who blows you in the town, but that's the Dodman.
No, this is ancient Greece.
Oh,
the Dodman is probably something to do with like ferries on the road. You know what? We'll figure it out. Next episode, we will let you all know what a Dodman is.
Yes, we will. Okay, so he proposed that Longman and Williamton chalk geoglyphs in Sussex. Oh, I know those. Those are interesting. Was depicting an ancient person measuring ley lines. Important to note, he had nothing to do with aliens.
Yeah, because he saw this chalkman and went, "Hey, you know what? I bet that they made that to help people recognize the trade routes, or like this guy made this fucking survey right here, so let's commemorate him.
Can we just clear this up real quick? Is the long man the chalk dude with the huge dong with an erection?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that wasn't ancient.
Okay.
It
I'm
was,
not saying.
it was 4 13-year-old teenagers that got a six-pack from their older brother.
That's not far off. It was created in like I want to say the
Hold on, let me see.
1800s or the early 1900s. Either there was something there first and then they added the erection and the balls, but it's just this giant like chalk glyph because if you, in that area, if you take the topsoil off, there's like this chalk and it doesn't go away. And it's this guy that looks like he's holding a club above his head, and he's got this fucking huge dick, and it's like going straight up his. It goes up to here, and then he's got these. It's like a dick and balls that like he's got the like proportionally he'd have like the biggest fucking dick on the planet, like bigger than John Holmes.
Okay, well, proportionally, dick sizes and all that stuff. The long man is Europe's largest portrayal of a human form dating back to at least 1710 when the survey John Raleigh illustrated the figure.
Okay. So maybe they added the dick or something.
They probably added a dick because human beings add dicks to everything.
I mean, it
we
literally
do.
looks like it literally looks like it's a very crude but very well defined dick. It kind of looks like when you pass out and your friends take a Sharpie and draw a dick on your face, or maybe that's just me. It looks like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a crudely drawn dick, and that's fine.
Yeah,
Let him have
It's
his
ju-
like crude dick.
it's just massive. His idea was never accepted by British Archaeological Society. Typical.
Yeah, I
As
imagine there was much harumphing over this. Dare says, because they were like,
absolutely.
harumph, humph.
My good sir, you are insane!
I dare
think
say.
this
Nowhere.
Let me go to my phrenologist later and let him check the bumps on my skull. This is hooey.
This is outlandish.
Yes. A fact which greatly annoyed Watkins.
Oh,
Critics
Watkins
argue-
hated them for it because he
Oh,
was
I'm
like,
sure.
"This makes fucking sense." These
It
could
actually
be trade
does.
routes,
Yeah.
and the archaeologists were like, "Nah."
They're like, let me go get my bloodlet from my humors are off.
Yeah.
Critics argued that the lines drawn were between structures that were built at different periods of time. They also noted that his lines were impractical as much of the terrain was hilly and rocky mountains. Furthermore, the society believed that prehistoric Britons, of course, were not so savvy to create such accurate measurements across the landscape. Bullshit. Archaeologists during this time period were also rock hard on the idea of cultural diffusionism. So the concept that ley lines were purely British was a thing they was widely dismissed.
And this is so stupid. I want to point this out because it's not just a British thing. If the Gizas and the fucking Easter Island line up, what's that got to do with Britain? And I'm going to debate every single one of these. One, critics argued during the time that they were between structures that were built at different periods of time. Well, no shit.
Whole point.
A Dunkin' Donuts can still get built next to a fucking McDonald's, and I'd still go, hey, there's McDonald's. There's the grocery store.
Yeah. Also, like the whole point of this was to kind of be like, well, the lines line up over different periods of times. That was kind of his like argument, right? Like that kind of like was part of it.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's it. It's like they were gradually building their trade routes. Like none of this goes against the original thought. The whole fucking the lines were impractical as much as the terrain was hilly, rocky, or mountainous. Well, yeah, that's why fucking Scottish and English castles are like skyscrapers.
Exactly.
And so,
I mean, I don't know.
all of these little like nicks that they had against him, I don't get it.
It's these proper British.
Because you were not trained in Cambridge, my good sir.
Oh, that's it.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I don't have a Cambridge education.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Again, these people still believed in phrenology. 1926, advocates for Watkins start the Straight Track Club. Ooh. The objective of the club was obvious: to find the ley lines.
Or
Watkins,
wear tracksuits and walk around the track.
Represent
You know,
Adidas.
or yeah, they put on their tracksuits and they walked to the ley lines, but couldn't get far because they all had diabetes.
Is this how like mafioso Russians are made?
Yes, yes, it is.
Like Russia just caught up to that trend?
Yeah. Ooh. Okay, I like this because I actually know this. Watkins caught wind and published the Ley Hunter's Manual in 1927 to assist his followers. What a nice guy. The Ley Liners started bugging archaeologist, archaeologist O.G.S. Crawford. I don't know if that's his name or if that's some gobbledygook for his, like, Cambridge
I'm pretty
degrees or
sure it's
whatever.
his initials. Followed
Okay.
by
He's
his
the
last name.
OG archaeologist, man.
Yeah,
He's-
according to him.
Yeah. He was the editor of the Antiquity Journal. Crawford would file every letter sent to him under a section of the archive called crankeries.
Yes, because it's
Crankeries.
quite crankery. This is
Oh,
rubbish.
God. He was vastly annoyed that educated people believe in such rubbish. He refused to publish an advert in for Old Straight Track in Antiquity, and Watkins became very bitter towards him. This is like old school trolling. This is like
100% that.
this is before Reddit. Like, I won't publish your advert in my magazine. In fact, I'll publish a rebuke. In 1932, Watkins published his last book, Archaic Tracks Around Cambridge. On April 7th, 1935, Watkins died. His club survived him, though, and it became largely inactive at the outbreak of World War II in 1939 and formally disbanded in 1948 because Britain was just eating beans on toast at that point.
Yeah, I mean, they were a little bit more preoccupied with something else going on.
Like starving.
And you'll come to find that his like little clubs tend to pop up and then drop. And
Yeah.
Alex is 100% right. Like, fucking, it was after the advent of LSD that aliens got involved.
Yeah. It's probably true. I mean, someday I'll tell you guys all about my abduction story that involves LSD and some Benadryl.
So what you're telling me is that you tripped so hard that you abducted yourself?
No, it wasn't really an abduction. It was a what do you call it? Like a waking dream.
Yeah.
Where
Ooh.
So it was a paralytic dream. It was the first time I ever had one of those, and it certainly wasn't the last time.
I know the perfect place to talk about that.
All right, you just let me know, and I'll tell you the story.
All right.
Let's just say the combination of the X-Files, LSD, and Benadryl to go to sleep were interesting.
I once got so like blackout on fucking Jack Daniels and sleeping pills that I woke up. I was like, I wanted to sleep. I was in the Navy.
I had on an alien ship.
I had to sleep that like weekend, so I was like, you know what? I'll just take all these sleeping pills, or I'll take all these sleeping pills, and then I was like, I got some Jack Daniels too. Let's get a little crazy.
Wash it all down.
We're still thankful you're here with us.
I know, right? I woke up outside my dorm room and I'm like, how the fuck did I get here? And like the door was locked. It was 1 a.m, and I had to like go pound on it just for them to let me back in. My roommate was not very happy with me.
Did he beat you with soap like in Full Metal Jacket?
Oh no.
Okay.
It was just very calm.
Okay, good. All right, but he's probably used to it at that point. Between the 1940s and the 1960s, archaeology's blossomed in Britain. A lot more universities started offering varying courses on it. This helped bring archaeology from an amateur field to cultural light and turned it professional,
Yeah, so
along with LSD.
this is important to note. Is like archaeology came to a rise in Britain during like the 1940s to the 1960s. And a
Yeah.
lot of like the people that were archaeologists, a very few of them were actual fucking archaeologists, and a lot of them were armchair Batmans. Being like, oh, I know how the fucking Giza pyramids were made with aliens or some dumb
Well,
shit like that.
I also needed to figure out like a legal way to steal other people's culture. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
like, they're like, oh shit, we can't just start wars anymore and just take it. Well, no. This is for educational and academic purposes.
Yeah, England was very preoccupied at the time with trying to figure out how to culturally appropriate everybody and
Steal relics.
steal relics. That this archaeology, these thoughts, they're all from the early 20th century. It's not like we're dealing with 1700s shit. People weren't
No.
really doing much archaeology before then.
This is true, and they were all amateurs. But if I remember correctly, I think when they excavated King Tut's tomb, Tutankhamun's tomb, they took the body out and like put it on a sideshow, like traveled it around.
Yeah, there wasn't exactly a what's that?
They weren't like very careful.
They weren't very careful. I don't think Britain's ever been very careful with archaeological shit. But all right, let's move on.
Let's get going. Okay. During the 1960s, a countercultural movement called the Earth Mysteries revived Watkins' ideas. Ley lines were attributed to sacred sacrifice, and
Significance.
Sorry, God, my head is not in the right place for significance. Sacred significance or mystical power. Astronomer.
Hey, you
Clive
actually got that right. Archaeoastronomer.
I didn't know that was. I think he made that up. Clive.
Listen to his name.
Clive Ruggles.
I mean, of course, Clive Ruggles made up a title, archaeoastronomer. I mean,
Yeah.
Clive Ruggles, dude. Like,
Clive Ruggles
Jesus.
is like the premier name when I think archaeoastronomer, because I'm like,
I don't even think Clive Ruggles is a real name.
no,
don't think-
it's probably fucking what Indiana Jones is to Harrison Ford.
That's right. At least he didn't choose archaeoastrologer.
This is what I'm talking. They're just making shit up. They don't
Exactly.
understand like history as well as they do nowadays, nor are they paying it the fucking respect. So you got people like Clive Ruggles coming in, being like, I'm a fucking archaeoastronomer. Like that's a goddamn thing. That's any different than a fucking actual astronomer. But anyway, go on.
I mean,
And a serious question.
Yeah.
Is Clive Ruggles British? Like, are these all?
These are all
for
British
the majority
people.
British.
Yeah,
It is.
Yeah, they're
Okay,
all
they're
sitting
all
there
Brits.
smoking
All
their
right.
pipes, be like,
Clive Ruggles is sitting there doing like whole fucking strips of acid and coming up with weird names. During this period, ley lines came to be perceived as lines of power, the paths of some form of spiritual force or energy accessible to our ancient ancestors, but now lost to narrow-minded 20th century scientific thought.
The Earth movement was just like, I reject your reality and replace it with my own. Because I am not.
Man, your science doesn't have all the answers, man.
This is why people believe the Earth is flat now.
Yeah, this is why we have flat earthers.
God. Scientists and their
Wait. Whoa. The Earth is not flat.
If it was, cats would have knocked everything off the edge.
We all live on a coffee table.
Oh my God, what a good response to that.
I know,
Jesus
that's
Christ,
amazing.
that's so good.
I know. No, the Earth isn't flat. It's technically hollow, and in it live a bunch of giants. They're giants. tall, Aryan, beautiful men and women with their long flowing blonde hair and their blue eyes and their elephants.
Dinosaurs.
Okay,
Dinosaurs.
so
Oh yeah,
about ley
dinosaurs.
lines.
Yeah. I just
Flat
there's a
Earth?
lot. I see a lot of correlation here between not flat Earth necessarily, but like maybe like Hollow Earth or Hollow
Well,
Moon or one of those.
See, now we're getting into an interesting building of theory though, because they're just making this shit up. So what if ley lines are you know how we have power lines that go everywhere so we can get electricity? What if these are just like residual energies of the power lines of the Germanic Nazis living in Hollow Earth?
Well, that's
What?
the first part. The first part of that before we got to Nazis, you were actually on to pretty much what the theory is for a lot of people. And if you watch Ancient Aliens on History Channel, they talk a lot about this bullshit. But that's the idea is that like yeah, they are the remnants of like invisible power lines that carried microwave energy or something like across the earth for aliens.
Yeah, God damn it, we're not the History Channel. If we were,
That's-
this podcast would be about 10 seconds long. Aliens
Yeah.
did it.
Aliens
And-
did it.
And we're not the History Channel. We just said. I mean, fact. Sorry to throw down facts for everybody, but it's Germanic Nazis living in the middle of Earth creating power.
That's a fact.
So,
That's fact.
That
That's a
is the
fact.
exact opposite of fact.
No, that's what you should be writing your dissertation on, and that's what you should be citing us for.
Okay.
hey man, next time then you should invite me, and maybe I don't show up
We are doing
because
a
there's a
fucking flat
correlation
Earth
between
episode
you
now.
not inviting me and me showing up. So
I want to just also point out that this countercultural movement also seems to, I might be wrong, but it seems to coincide with the publishing of the book Chariots of the Gods,
Oh,
which
my God.
is which is the sort of like Bible of ancient alien theory.
I need
so-
to actually read that book.
Yeah, it's decent. It presents some theories.
There's, you know what? I'm carrying the torch. I am pro-alien. I'm gonna read that book. Prove to you guys that flat Earth doesn't exist, as well as Hollow Moon and Hello, whatever the fuck else.
no, the moon is made of cheese. Come on, don't mix
No.
your scientific facts.
God.
All right, let's move on to Tony
Yeah.
Webb.
Okay, so this Archie, what was his name? Oh yeah, Tony Webb. In 1961, Tony Webb put forward the belief that ley lines were actually drawn by ancient civilizations to guide alien spacecraft visiting Earth. He published a book called Skyways and Landmarks. He approached this conclusion after comparing Watkins' notes with that of French ufologist Amy Mitchell. Michelle, sorry. My bad. Oh wow. That's I didn't know the French actually had ufologists.
Everybody has ufologists. It's a crazy culture.
Okay,
Affairs.
so Michelle argued for the existence of orthotitties,
Orthotitties.
lines
Orthotitties.
along which spacecraft would travel. Webb insisted that spacecraft were either following prehistoric landmarks for guidance or that both the lays and the spacecraft were following magnetic currents through the Earth.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. And in a sense they are. And
Yeah.
there is a lot of like weird shit going on, but why do we have to muddy the waters with the UFO? And
No.
it's not like he cited, I'm talking about the General John Smith. He's like, I'm talking about a fellow ufologist who's probably just as crazy as I am over in France.
I know.
And
I
so
mean,
it's like,
Yeah.
ah,
Astronomer Ruggles cites ufologist Mitchell. I'm sorry, Michelle, my bad.
who created her own theory? There's there's no fucking science behind this. And that's why I'm pissed off. Orthotitties? Like, she created that and went,
I know.
actually.
That's a word?
Yeah. And he's citing her. Like this is a fucking research paper at a community college.
Dude, the best research papers are done at community
Yes,
colleges.
yeah,
Let's not mince words here. I mean, come on.
yeah. This is where we get this stuff from, really.
I cite a
All
lot
right.
of Wikipedia at the community college. It's because they don't care.
Yeah. I remember being actively told not to cite Wikipedia, but that was somewhere else. Writer John Michel took this theory and exploded it across the masses with his book, The Flying Saucer Vision. In this book, Michel asserted his belief of an ancient astronaut. In other words, extraterrestrials had assisted humans during prehistory when these beings were worshipped as gods. However, the aliens left when humanity became too materialistic and technology focused.
They're PS4 fanboys, and they're like, "Oh, Xbox is much better, I guess. I'm leaving this fucking place."
You know what bothers me about this theory and has always bothered me
What's
is that it's almost insulting to the human race in that like we couldn't develop electrical engineering without the help of aliens. Like we couldn't or to be a little bit more even like just blunt about it, that the Egyptians were too stupid to build the pyramids.
Yeah, and
right?
they definitely were not. That's the
No.
thing. Is
Yeah.
like we're gonna find out. Spoiler alert: pyramids are in the next episode, but we're actually gonna find out that the Egyptians were smart enough to build the pyramids, and in fact, the very idea of introducing aliens into it that's anything but an Enochian is insulting.
I agree, and it's a lot of, and I don't know if it's on purpose or what, but you know, a lot of this shit is usually applied to like the browner hues of humanity. You know, like the Aztecs or Native Americans or
Just write the history books, right?
yeah, exactly. So it's
Yeah.
like it's like that it's
Not
it's
saying white people are better because we
Yeah.
like
No,
Victorians.
we are nowhere
yeah,
near
exactly.
I
No,
just, when you kill the other race and they can't write anything, I mean,
it's kind of like the Mormon belief that like there had to be white people here in America before the the Native Americans because
insane.
they built all these structures and obviously these people couldn't do it. They're savages.
Insane.
Yeah,
And if you pray hard enough, you can become white.
It's a ridiculous theory because people are smart enough to do those things. And
Exactly.
like the Mayan and Aztec cultures alone give us a
Yeah.
run for our money. They just like figured out that I think it's Mayan, like a sprawling fucking section of the rainforest is
Yeah.
inhabited by a shit ton of Mayan villages. And
Yeah.
they're just now decoding it.
Yeah.
I saw that, and that they probably had a network of cities that put like Rome to shame.
Yep.
That it was just like a massive network of cities with like millions of people.
Yeah, and when you get to a point where you have that many people, A, working together, B, networking, and C, interconnected, you have to have your shit together.
Oh yeah. Like organizational skills and like in terms of like even like the pyramids of Giza, like if you get enough like skilled laborers, slaves, and a lever, you can build anything.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get back to these ley lines. So Mitchell also argued that humanity's materialism was driving them towards destruction.
I mean, he's
And
not wrong.
Okay, so just this is what really gets me on
Yeah.
this. Is he's got like, all right, so what you're really doing is you want to say that materialism is destroying culture, destroying our ability to think, whatever. I can get on board that. Why the fuck do aliens need to be introduced? Like, how in any way does that prove your point? Like, oh,
Yeah.
well, if we just weren't so materialistic, we would know about the aliens. Like, what? That's doesn't need to be part of your theory, man.
Right.
Like,
Apparently, so this could be avoided by reactivating the ancient centers, which would facilitate renewed contact with these supposedly benevolent aliens.
like what? Like, why?
No,
Why does that need to be there?
I don't know.
It's kind of like dude, it's kind of like he was sitting there one day and was like, "Well, it's the '60s. What are the hippies really all about? Like,
Exactly.
what can I put in here that would
Well-
kind of like I think this motherfucker was like aliens first, just
Yeah.
aliens
Oh, yeah.
first, and then was like on the cultural train wagon of like anti-materialism.
Well, and it's not like this is an original like thought. Like he just added aliens, right? Like he took the. It's like,
Yeah, he just added aliens, like he just add water to a baking recipe. He
I
was
know.
like, "Oh, these
Oh.
kind of like make sense, aliens," and it's like that's what the fucking History Channel does. Put some
It's
thought and
exact-
effort into this. The first guy to actually give it, the founder of it, said nothing about aliens.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
It's
God.
it's like what you just said. You're baking fucking cookies, and instead of you substitute salt for sugar. How do you think the cookie's gonna come out? Like,
Exactly. It's aliens, man.
I'm
Oh,
beginning to
God.
find a lot of these theories that are aliens are anything but, and have perfectly like reasonable scientific explanations for them.
Kind of like
And-
crop circles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean,
It's just-
there are cases where aliens are probably involved, and we'll talk about them, but that doesn't mean they're involved in everything.
It's true. This dude followed his book up with The View Over Atlantis. He again reiterated that we're all fucked. Historian Ronald Hutton described it as the founding doctrine for the modern Earth Mysteries movement. Whoever the historian, yikes. In the book, he interpreted ley lines as the Chinese concept of Long Mei, dragon path energy lines. Way to just taking something.
He's just going through the D&D book of mythology and adding
I
shit.
know.
It's like,
Jesus.
there's Chinese dragon lines. There's also Atlantis is involved. It's
Yeah.
like, what?
This is this again. If we in this outline, I read it, but I don't remember. If we come across anyone who calls himself an investigative journalist, they gave themselves that title. That's not really what they do. He proposed that in an ancient civilization that once covered the earth used the ley lines to harness the Lung Mei energy. Hutton noted that Mitchell's ideas embodied a fervent and religious energy. Yep. Almost apocalyptic and evangelical in nature.
He was
It
a TV
Evangelicist? Yeah.
Yeah.
Evangelist?
Before they
There it is.
were invented.
Yeah. I mean, I would put money on this guy being Christian.
This is that
It
dude
pa-
that wears like a man bun and sits in the desert and tricks girls into having sex with him. This is that kind of guy
Did you
with
just
his yoga classes.
or maybe he's that cool youth pastor who, you know,
Anyway,
touches
Moving
little
on.
girls.
it's cool to have your weighing out.
Jesus would.
Jesus, yeah, Jesus had his weighing out all the time.
I mean, haven't you seen him in that loincloth and that six pack? Oh man, Jesus was awesome.
Oh, it does crack me up that Jesus always has a six pack.
I know, and he's white as snow.
Well, yeah, he's white as snow, right? Yeah, it's like dude would not be white. Like,
He's pale as I am. It's like I do really well in the desert. It basically announced the coming of the Age of Aquarius, in which ancient wisdom would be restored. Kind of missed the boat on that one.
Okay, I definitely wrote that as a joke, but I don't think we did. And I was thinking about this, and I was like, are we in the age of Aquarius, right? Because I'm actually thinking about this like the other day, and truth be told, the last 50 years we have jumped in technology.
Yeah, but that's sort of antithetical and to his like he thinks that we're gonna like you are correct, Kirby, but this guy thinks that all of our like jumps in technology, which are cumulative, right?
Yeah.
Are like wrong, and we should be using ancient dragon lines instead of say, I don't know, smartphones, something. I don't know.
I'm not saying he's not batshit insane. What I'm saying
He's
is,
onto something there, but he just missed it.
yeah, he missed the boat. But I think like maybe the age of Aquarius is like a George R.R. Martin prophecy, where like you read it and you're like, oh, this is cool. You know, the child's gonna save the day, but then the child saves the day by murdering everybody in the room, and you're like, oh, I guess I read that prophecy wrong. You know, so the age of Aquarius is like really just out to dick us. Because now I can't unsubscribe from fucking Netflix because I gotta finish Stranger Things. So thanks, age of fucking douchebags.
That's right. Because I have to finish Married at First Sight Australia. God damn it. It should be noted that Mitchell's claims were often invented to fit his narrative. Oh shit. And he viewed archaeologists as antagonists, seeing them as the personification of modern materialism, the very thing he rallied against.
This guy
So-
doesn't know what archaeologists do. Modern
know.
materialism? That's the exact opposite of fucking archaeology. Archaeology is about going into the history and finding shitty clay pots that have the initials JR on them to know that that family was there. It's not like finding a fucking Apple iPhone
He's just
generation
he's just-
4.
He's just mad at the people that have like a valid argument against him.
Oh my god. I know.
Okay, as a final fuck you, he published a detailed survey of the Western Penworth district of Cornwall, laying out the ley lines in the area. Offered a huge sum of money to any archaeologist who could disprove them. He probably didn't have the money. Hutton notes that it was the largest piece of surveying work undertaken by a pseudo-archaeologist during this time. Was immediately disproven because he included natural rock outcroppings and medieval crosses in his list of Neolithic and Bronze Age monuments.
Yeah, this guy wasn't very smart.
Outcroppings, so good.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
It's dude, this is like that kid in the back of the class. It's like, hey, 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 and you are sitting there like 2 or 3 chairs higher than him, just really fucking trying to ignore him. And that's what the archaeologists are doing to these guys. They're like, just shut
my
the
God.
fuck up. And they're like,
Just-
hey, hey,
Yeah.
hey.
It's like it just keeps like I have an idea and like, you know, he says his idea and we shoot it down like with like logic and he doesn't understand it. And then he's like, you asshole materialists, I'm gonna do a survey. And then
I'm gonna write a shitty manifesto that goes nowhere. Is basically what happened.
It's a good thing you didn't shoot up a classroom.
Snort this sand and see if it hurts. Oh, that hurt. Let me do it
Oh.
again.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we're gonna get into the ley hunters. Ooh. In 1962, a group of ufologists established the Ley Hunters Club. Michelle's publication inspired intrepid groups of ley hunters to travel the British landscape looking for ley lines connecting monuments. Parish churches were of particular interest, as many ley hunters believed they had been established by pre-Christians on secret sites. That kind of is true. Maybe. In 1965, Philip Heselton established the Ley Hunter magazine. Paul Screeton became the editor of the magazine, and he wrote a book as well titled "Quicksilver Heritage," in which he argued that the Neolithic period had been seen as idyllic, as an idyllic society governed by spirituality, However, the coming Bronze Age put an end to that.
Yeah, because they
It's
thought
just-
before all this technological bullshit, we were a bunch of happy creatures. And you know what? I'm just gonna throw this out there. Has anybody spent a summer in Europe where they don't have air conditioning? Because I have, and I kind of love my air conditioner. And so what I'm trying to say here is, God, I had something for.
Well, when it's hot out, you want to beat someone with a stick.
Yeah, human beings improve. That is what we do. We don't regress. I mean, yeah, there's times when, I'd much rather just run like a wolf and have to worry about eating and hunting for like the
just
next month.
just to play devil's advocate, I don't know if you would want to say improve necessarily, right?
It's
Because we know that air conditioners extremely bad for the environment, which
True
is
story.
something that we have to live in.
Yeah.
So we're
okay.
we
I'm
adapt very easily.
I'm
We're
talking
we're
about-
adaptable.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like how, because look, every modern invention, and prove me if I'm wrong, came about because of either A, getting laid, or B, finding a way to be lazier.
It's a bold
Uh,
statement, but
bold statement.
I like the thought. I like it, but it's a
I-
bold statement.
I actually don't know if I can argue against it.
I mean, that's the thing. Is like we are on the path to being lazy, and yeah, sure, it's gonna kill us eventually. But I do
Are you-
really like air conditioners. What?
Is your prophecy the movie? What's that one with the robot?
iRobot?
No,
Wally
Wally.
It very well could be Wally.
God
Not
damn
gonna lie.
just floating
Yeah.
around in our little scooters with our
Yeah.
fucking 48-ounce big gulps.
And we're all gonna be just obese. Ugh. Ugh.
I'm
All right.
working on it.
Yeah,
Okay, so
about halfway there.
yeah, I lost 10 pounds in the last 30 days, but
Ooh,
that was
virtual
that-
high five.
that was on advice from my cardiologist. That's right, I have a cardiologist. Though he believed this age could be restored as well, many lay hunters saw the Neolithic age as an age of prominent spiritual growth.
That's
just-
probably true.
Yeah, but also at the same time, the Neolithic age is like largely unknown in Europe because they just built Christian monuments over all the shit.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can't say technically the Crusades were a time of spiritual growth. But I don't know if you'd be like making that statement,
It's just we have little bits and pieces, but we do know that like the Druids definitely engaged in human sacrifice. And I don't know if that's spiritual growth, and maybe it is, and we should go back to that. But
I mean,
That's-
I would fucking kick it as a druid. I've played it in Diablo. And
Oh, yeah.
I know you get to talk to like animals and hang out with bears all day. So yeah, I would be a druid.
I do think that the D&D interpretation of the Druid and it may be a little off, but
I don't know if that's
just
true.
saying.
All right. So moving on.
Moving on. Okay, the allure of lay hunting existed because it allowed individuals without professional training to feel like they were digging up magical mysteries,
Yeah, they're
Just like
armchair detectives.
just like people on YouTube.
They're not even armchair detectives. They're
Yeah.
like fucking gutter detectives. Like I don't even have a good analogy for it. Butt plug detectives.
They were going out and doing surveys, so I mean they weren't in the armchair, but they probably trampled over some great archaeological finds.
Yeah, but they weren't fucking surveys like John Keel, where it'd be like, hey, this is a
Oh,
monument.
no.
What do you think? It'd be like, do you think this monument was made by aliens? And you're talking to drunk fucking Scots, and they're gonna be like, yeah, that probably was made by aliens. You're right. I'll sign that petition.
They're not surveys like that. They're like like surveys.
Geographical surveys.
Geographical surveys.
What, the Earth Mystery Movement? The one that
Yeah.
believes in aliens?
Yeah, but they're not
So
going
you
out
don't
and
think they're
asking
going to try
people.
to shove that into people's faces?
Are you
I've seen
thinking?
people in special groups, Max. It would take
Do you,
exactly 10 seconds talking to these people would be like, they're crackpots.
so you think that they're like the guys outside of like Whole Foods who like try to like get you to sign a petition or something?
Yeah, and tell me to wear dreadlocks and listen to reggae, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I mean, I'd listen to reggae. Reggae is pretty dope.
I'm gonna just admit in this podcast that I had dreadlocks when I was 16, and it was a period of time that I sorely
Join the
regret.
Earth Mystery Movement.
Right. Follow-up question: do you
Yeah.
have pictures?
Yeah,
Because I
There's-
would love to see those pictures one day.
There's one, and
Yes.
it's my mother has it, and I'll find it. But yeah, they were
Absolutely send
gotta
that
send
picture
this.
to me.
they were
Yep. Let's go into the Discord.
ill-advised. Let's see. Okay. These guys contained a diverse range of people from different classes and different political views. Its adherents from both the radical left and radical right ideologies. Oh, this is bringing people together.
Yeah, it
So
actually does like connect people that wouldn't
Yeah.
normally get together. You know?
This is before. So, God, where was I reading this? There's a maybe it's not around anymore, but years ago there was a website that had a quotient on conspiracy theory, and it was basically a measurement of how many paragraphs you had to get through till you get to the anti-Semitic part.
Oh, that's dope. That's
Yeah.
cool.
I can't remember it, but it was a scale of like believability based on when it gets anti-Semitic. Because eventually it all comes down to the Zionist propaganda.
Yeah, which
They
that
actually, yeah.
Nazis, man.
Yeah, Nazis. Fucking Nazis. Though they had differing ideas on how ley lines worked, some believe that ley lines marked pre-existing current in the earth.
Now, see,
Others
this
believe,
is I can get behind that.
yeah, right, yeah, I would
And
agree. So
I could totally see people that weren't surrounded constantly by electrical fields being able to feel some kind of pull from the earth.
well, yeah, in a magnetic field, we know that there are parts of the earth where the magnetic field is like funky, either due to like minerals or whatever. But like those like mystery spots,
Yeah.
like that are tourists. There are some, like say there's one in Santa Cruz that I know of, and there's one in Portland, Oregon that I know of, or outside of Portland, Oregon that I know of, that are actually like true like magnetic anomalies. It's like the one in Oregon, like there's some weird shit going on there. Like they demonstrate stuff like they can balance an old broom on its bristles for, I think the record was up to 36 hours. Like,
Holy shit.
yeah, standing up. And it's bizarre, but it does, and actually that particular place in Oregon is a convergence of about 6 different ley lines. So maybe there's something to it.
I mean,
All right.
well, yeah, we'll talk about it.
Yeah. So others believe that they help control and direct energy. They were in agreement that ley lines were introduced between 5,000 BCE and 2600 BCE after the development of agriculture and before the introduction of metal. Why would they be?
I don't know what they got against Metallica, okay? Because I think fucking Metallica is sick as shit, and I would listen to the Black Album all day long.
So you think that these guys think we're under the impression that Guns N' Roses ruined society?
I think they're not the only ones. I mean, Guns N' Roses is fucking amazing. Of course, it's going to piss some people off.
I do think that Axl Rose was the sign of the coming of the apocalypse.
That's
I
don't think
but
you
only
can ask for anything better in life.
only after you got all that plastic surgery done. Ley hunters also typically combined their research with other unconventional esoteric methods such as dowsing and numerology.
I know. It's like, It's like,
Oh,
fuck scientific instruments.
oh God.
Let's
Right.
make our own.
New plan, guys. I say the three of us just start going around whacking shit with canes as hard as we can and going, my God, do you feel the vibrations coming from here? And just doing some wacky shit with vibrations.
Yeah, that's
So
not
it
too
gives us an
far off.
excuse to just walk around and just like whack things.
And then we
Oh my
sell
God.
tickets to it for like $25 so we can show them where all the whacking spots are. Because they're so
Where all
visible
the
to the
wacky
earth.
spots are.
Or some shit.
Man, if you whack this fucking tree right here, you're gonna feel some shit, man.
You could just
Oh,
whack
my
it
God.
all day
Cancer.
long.
Yeah. This is again, Alex is right on this. This whole LSD thing is right.
I think it's connected. I like, honest to God, like I know, like I didn't even bring it up as a joke. Like
Yeah.
just going over this, I mean, it honestly started off as something that was like, all right, that's logical, that makes sense, trade routes, whatever,
Right, yeah.
or like, you could, it made sense. And then all of a sudden, you're telling me after they invented LSD and all of these people are probably tripping balls, then aliens get introduced. Like,
Right.
come on.
And that somehow like humans created like deep magnetic currents in the earth before we developed metal, and metal was the end of that. God.
Well, see, so I was going to ask about that actually. So is that just weird wording, Kirby? Like we're introduced between five, or
No,
is that what
because
they
they hated
believe? That
they
like
hated
we
the Bronze
created?
Age. Like they loved the Neolithic Age, and they thought that
Yeah.
the start of the Bronze Age was the downfall of their society. And it's
Yeah.
like, no, it wasn't. In fact, if anything, metal conducts. But hey, I mean,
Yeah.
who are we? We're fucking scientists, I guess.
I don't get it. It's like, it's like it is to argue with someone like this is to argue with a flat earther. To bring it back to that, it's just you can't introduce any logic or science to it because they're just gonna say something along the lines of, or
Where'd you learn that?
Yeah,
The
we're-
scientific community?
yeah,
Did NASA
like-
show you it?
or let me pull
Yeah,
up. Yeah, let me pull up my Bible and show you some facts in the Old Testament. Like,
Next
that's
thing
not-
you know, you got a conversation being like, "What? Did you vote for Biden?" I was like,
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
"No, I didn't, but I also still believe the world is an oblong, goddamn spherical shape."
I know, right? Oh God.
Oh my
Or
God.
or even like this is how people end up in a Starbucks yelling at an astronaut for no reason.
Yeah, this is how we get here. It's a joke that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure that we're live.
Okie dokie.
All right, go ahead, Max.
Okay.
Set up the rest of this.
Okay, I'm gonna do a slate. Okay. All right. Lay hunters and archaeologists. Or should it be lay hunters versus archaeologists? So attitudes towards archaeologists varied widely. Some believed that they should convert them to the thought. Some believed that that was an impossible task, though Alexander Thome, another archaeoastronomist, argued that prehistoric Britons were far more advanced in mathematics and astronomy than regular archaeologists would have you believe, which helped give credence to the claims of the lay hunters, which, as we were saying before, isn't that far off. That the mathematics of like ancient societies were actually far more advanced than we thought originally.
Yeah, and that's what's frustrating about this
Yeah.
stuff, right? Is you get reasonable premises, and then
Yep.
the conclusion is just bonkers. Aliens. Well,
Aliens
it must be aliens, man, just coming down from the earth. Like, here's our highway for aliens, ley lines. Like, it's like,
You
wait,
know-
I don't understand why you're going from point A to fucking F. Like, what
know.
the fuck is?
I also see some hypocrisy here to say like that the Neolithic humans were somehow like super advanced, but in order to do all this shit, they needed alien help. Like,
yeah, they're calling their ancestors dumb, which is
Yeah.
like, kind of like it's stupid.
It's it's pretty stupid.
I
This
mean,
is
I'm
true.
gonna call the Irish potato eaters till the end of my day because I'm Irish and I eat potatoes, but that doesn't mean they were dumb.
They are bog people, though. Anyways, Paul, we're gonna go to a guy named Paul Devereaux, who I've heard of before. Um, so he succeeded Screeton as the editor of the Ley Hunter, became consumed with finding actual evidence of unusual forms of energy at prehistoric structures, launched the Dragon Project. Oof. Launched in London in 1977. He could have just, started a punk band, but that's okay. The the purpose was to conduct radioactivity and ultrasonic tests at prehistoric sites to firmly establish the ley line theory. Though some sites showed higher or lower signs of activity than average, others did not, with inconsistent data and tests were inconclusive.
I love this.
Archaeologists largely ignored him, his findings.
Yeah, they gave zero fucks about this guy. He was like, I'm gonna spend all this money and prove all these Indiana Joneses that they don't belong in a museum. And then he went and fucking lost his entire gamble. And the archaeologists were like, huh.
Just go ahead, go figure. Just like that other guy. Huh. All right, so in the 1980s, archaeologists finally acknowledged the ley hunting movement. In 1983, a book written by archaeologists Tom Williamson and Liz Bellamy, titled Ley Lines, in question, sought to tackle the evidence that ley enthusiasts had amassed. They argued that the British Isles were so dotted with monuments that it could be impossible to draw a line through it without passing through several structures along the way. That's true. They also demonstrated that many structures the ley hunters had claimed to be Neolithic were actually from the Bronze or medieval ages. Well, shit. The overall message of the book was ley lines have no empirical evidence and thus rubbish.
But thank God they're not. It's like
They're not. I know.
It's Alex is right. There's some actual truth in this, but they keep muddying the waters.
Yeah.
It's if your whole fucking fact is from the wrong goddamn age you claim it to be, you lose all credibility on the spot. Check your shit.
Dude. I mean, it's basically looking at a car and being like, "No, it's a boat." And it's like, what are you talking about? It's got four wheels and it drives on land. No, it's a boat. And then you got one dingus over here being like, no, it's a boat. Look and see. Fucking drives it into like Lake Placid and like fucking drowns himself. Like it's like, well, no, it wasn't a boat. That clearly was not a boat.
Guess it didn't float. Oh well.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be that person that is exactly like that. Like, hey.
Oh God.
Maybe he's on something. And just goes against the fabric of society just to prove a point that doesn't exist.
Some of these people are sociopaths, I believe. Okay, a ley schism. A division began after the release of the book by Williamson and Bellamy, the archaeologists. One side believed empirical evidence was rubbish and unneeded, as ley lines were an act of faith.
That's that crazy dude that wrote the book about nothing.
The others believe that further annoying archaeologists by seeking out new data and arguments to bolster their belief was the course of action to stay on. This divided the community into mysticism and rationality, a fissure that has always existed, has always been there now, and is now there to laid bare.
Yeah, it's like they were forced to confront themselves because suddenly, you've been pretending that half the side is into mysticism as long as they go along with you, and the other half is believing in the fucking more logical side of things, if you could call it that, and
still annoying everybody,
and still just trying to annoy everybody. Yeah. Suddenly, you got mysticism versus rationality. And this has existed in ley lines since the fucking beginning of them.
I know. The guy who started it was pretty fucking rational. Let's see. In 1989, Paul Devereaux published a book. This is where I know him from, titled Ley Lines on the Landscape, alongside Nigel Pinnock.
Nigel Pinnock. That's the most
Nigel-
British name I've ever heard.
I know. I bet he apologizes every time he has an orgasm.
Good day, madame. I am sorry.
Sorry. Oh, even when he's jerking off. Sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry. I'm sorry about those spots. The purpose of this book was to toss aside the mysticism inherent in ley lines and present empirical evidence that archaeologists could engage with. In particular, it drew attention to ethnographical beliefs held in various communities throughout the world concerning the importance of lines running through the landscape, proposing that these are examples of what might have occurred in Britain. Hutton actually praised the book, saying it was an important development and it was by far the most well-researched, intelligently written, and beautifully produced work yet published on ley lines.
He actually did
yeah.
a lot with that. Because he
Yeah.
approached it with a factual like mentality. And one of the major things that you'll see, although I didn't put it in the outline, but a lot of these people that believed in ley lines and had this whole mysticism front went on to be big contributors to the mythological and folklore of England itself. Because they got interested in that shit to begin with, and by the end of it, they had such knowledge of it that they wrote like books.
It's not bad. I think Alex has something. What's up?
No, I was fixing something.
Oh, okay. Let's see. In 1991, Devereux published an article on sight lines in antiquity. Archaeologists had actually started to become more open to the ideas surrounding language and cognition, ideas that ley hunters had been touting for a long time. Unfortunately, in 1999, the Ley Hunters magazine ceased publication. Its last editor, Danny Sullivan, claimed that the idea of leys was dead as enthusiasm began to drift more towards archaeoastronomy.
Yeah, that's back.
Well,
It's
you know
just-
what happened? 1999. It was the new millennium, man. It was K2 or whatever. What was
2K.
that? 2K.
Y2K.
It was Y2K virus, man, killed the ley hunters. We all thought it was going after our electronics. No, just a very specific group of people.
A
You know,
very small group of people.
One of my first jobs was actually debugging code and adding and making it so that dates could be more than 2 digits.
Oh, did you put a line in there that said "kill the ley hunters"?
No,
Oh my God, it's Max Murder.
Max,
He's the one that
my
killed the
God.
ley hunters.
You murdered the ley hunters.
I'll say that I wasn't the first, but I certainly was I was the last.
I was the last. There you go. Yeah.
He knows
So
the
it's
secret
kinda like-
to Atlantis. That's it. He's hiding it.
The truth is I saw it in there once and I just continued it, but I don't know who put it in there first. All right, let's talk about getting laid today. Beliefs in ley lines still exist among various esoteric groups, and
Thanks to Max.
I put them all down. And the Ghost Brothers, the Ghost Hunters, or the Ghost Adventurers, excuse me, they like the ley lines. Hutton believes that it's it's ingrained in New Age counterculture. I hate this term, New Age counterculture. Counterculture and New Age mysticism should not be in the same sentence.
What about
No.
counter mysticism?
There we go.
What about, yeah, but also what about that the shaman guy that went to prison for January 6th? If there's anybody that just visually represents New Age counterculture in one fucking like definition, it's the QAnon shaman.
Oh my God, you're
I
so
mean,
right. Oh
like,
man. Oh God, that's so bad. Because like, okay, I've been going back on some of my like old readings from my teenage years and reading like Emma Goldman, who was the mother of modern anarchism and stuff. And like counterculture to me is legit anarchism, like people who believe that we can live in communities and fix our own potholes and police ourselves. But now that you mention it, that guy just ruined it for me.
Fuck.
God
Wow.
damn it. Like I'm thinking like, counterculture is in like, people who are willing to do like things to better the human race, not
Because
the
that's the normal
oh
counterculture, right?
God.
Like that is what counterculture is.
Yeah.
But this new age counterculture, no, it's American Nazism.
Yeah. These are the people that read Ayn Rand and just like pervert everything from Ayn Rand. I hate Ayn Rand, but still, like read all her
Who
shit and
likes
like,
Ayn Rand, man?
oh God, these people. But they think they forget, like all these people that pervert her ideology and stuff forget she was a Holocaust survivor. Like they're the people that deny the Holocaust.
Dude, they don't make no
God,
sense.
It's those
no.
people that think Harley and Joker are a good couple.
No, we all know Harley needs to be with Batman.
Oh yeah, definitely. They're
No,
both
I'm
like
sorry.
crazy for each other.
You both are wrong. She needs to be with Poison Ivy.
I'd watch that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Max.
Yeah. Duh. Uh, belief in okay, here we go.
It sounds like a mighty fine documentary. I think I'll check it out later.
It's a great hotel documentary. Furthermore, belief in ley lines helped feed and bolster modern paganism. Oh God, I don't even want to say it. The Nazis ruined it.
Is that just the fucking tagline for our show?
I know that just like modern paganism sounds awesome, but fucking neo-Nazis ruined it. That's going to be the subtitle. Crook and Irish, or I'm sorry, Crook and Murder present whatever ruined by neo-Nazis.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, Seattle even went so far as to balance and tune the city against ley lines, a project with a healthy $5,000 donation from Seattle Arts Commission, a fact that brought up criticism from the public.
Because they're like,
Because I did
why?
just if my tax money went to that.
That's the exact response. They're like, why am I spending my fucking tax money
Yeah.
on a bunch of people to stand on the rooftop and sing Kumbaya?
I'm just going to say that Emma Goldman argued that voting shouldn't happen because the populace shouldn't pick our leaders because they're too stupid.
I mean,
Yeah.
She was alive during the suffrage movement, and she was sort of, people say she was not part of the first wave feminism because she believed that suffrage was just stupid and women should just do what they want.
I can think of at least 2 presidents that we've had in the last 7 years that, are
Yeah.
just fucking useless.
Yeah, let's keep it like politically neutral, but yeah, you're right.
That is politically neutral. I
That
picked
is
2
actually,
in the
yeah,
last
that's
7 years.
both
It's
fucking
both
sides.
fucking idiots.
I mean, yeah. I think she's right. But criticism of ley lines. William and Bellamy, called ley lines one of the greatest red herrings in history, given the high density of ancient monuments and structures in Great Britain. All of this is funny because the ley hunters, all of these ley line countercultural idiots, they're all in Britain and they're all trying to align stuff in Britain. Like, why does it have to start? It's like, why? It's the Greenwich Mean Time, right? Our time zones are based on an arbitrary line that goes through Greenwich, England. Like, why does this have to fucking originate in England?
Because everything originates in England. We
Yeah.
got castles.
You know what's interesting though
Yeah,
is just, I'm sorry to go on a tangent, Kirby,
I do it.
but is it Halifax or Nova Scotia in Canada? They are 30 minutes. Their time is 30 minutes off because when they entered Canada, Canada was like, all right, you got to go on the east the Eastern time zone so you can match up with the rest of Canada. And they basically were like, nah, fuck you. We're not going to do that.
Yeah, that's Nova Scotia.
Is it
Yeah,
Nova Scotia? Yeah, so
yeah,
they're 30 minutes off. Like,
yeah.
Nova
So New-
Scotia's 30 minutes off.
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
What a bunch of fucking dicks.
We might get in trouble for this, but I believe the Canadians call them Newfies for Newfoundland. And they're very weird people. There's
Dude.
something like 2 or 3 times the amount of serial killers per capita in Nova Scotia.
Well,
All I'm
honestly,
saying is they may be weird, but hats off to you basically being like, now we're not changing our time. Like,
I mean,
yeah, we'll join Canada, but go fuck
Yeah.
yourself.
yeah, we were fuck you and your arbitrary fucking line in Greenwich. We're doing it ourselves. All right. So okay, inadvertently some would fall on a straight line. Yeah, that we know that. Archaeologists and statisticians have demonstrated that random distributions of a significant amount of points on a plane will inadvertently create alignments of random points by chance, like say a pentagram.
yeah, because shit just aligns. Like,
Yeah,
actually,
exactly.
the human mind is probably geared, at least for most people, towards alignment.
Well, yeah, that's why
Finding
we see
patterns. Yeah.
that's why we see faces on Mars and shit, right? It's like it's because our brain is programmed to kind of like align shit. Which also lends credence. I'm gonna go off on a little bit of a tangent. Also, sort of lends credence that like all of reality is perception, and any paranormal phenomenon is perception, and that the world's not real. And I'm having an acid flashback. Fuck.
No, you know what? I was thinking the other day, I was like, if we're living in a simulation, which seems far more plausible than flat Earth, it's like, if we were living in a situation, or a
An AI simulation.
AI simulation, and we are theoretically like the computer that runs the simulation, and we're building machines, are we just rebuilding our replacements? Are we upgrading the system and we're just like, I
That's how
guess
we
we're
have
done
to
now?
reproduce.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's yeah.
Not
True.
if you build
It's another form of
self-reproducing
reproduction.
machines. I mean, look, you've seen Terminator or Ultron.
Well, also, if you've read the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the Earth is actually just a big like computer,
Yeah.
to figure out the life, the answer to life, the universe, and everything. And the answer turns out to be 42.
Oh, and by the way, the reason we haven't seen Aliens yet is because they haven't loaded the fucking DLC on this computer. So
Expansion pack.
until they do, we won't see the Zorgon race. And I'm a little pissed by that.
The one thing I gotta say though about Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, who
Yeah.
wrote that book? I can't remember the guy's
Douglas
name.
Adams. I literally
Dude,
just
Douglas Adams. One of the greatest things that he ever did in that series of books was making the answer to the meaning of life 42. But then in like the third book or something, maybe the fourth book, they ask, well, what was the question?
Yeah.
And it's like 7 times 9 or like it's something that does not add up to 42.
Exactly.
Dude, well, so good.
So like the first book was like discovering that the Earth is this computer and that the answer is 42, and then them saying like, okay, supercomputer, what's the question? And it takes till the third book for the computer to be like, yeah, it's 7 times 9.
Yeah, it's like something that doesn't add up to 42.
Exactly.
Just philosophically though, so good because it's.
I know.
Yeah. It's just all right. It's a tangent. We can.
I know. I bought that. I literally today I bought the first book for my daughter who's 10 because that's when my dad bought it for me. So
hell yeah.
Let's see. Which was expanded upon by David George Kindle. So this idea is expanded by a guy named David George Kindle using a study featuring shape analysis to determine the triangles formed by standing stone V's. The likelihood.
That's versus. Like
versus. Oh, I'm sorry.
Literally anybody who's ever played Street Fighter in the history of anything.
I know that's my bad.
VS means versus.
That was it's V and it's a capital V and a lowercase S.
That's the way it's written. I'm kind of with Max on this one.
What?
But I missed it's standing stones versus. My bad. the likelihood that they would end up in a straight line. The shape of a triangle could be represented as a point on a sphere, and the distribution of all shapes can be thought of as a distribution over the sphere. The sample distribution of the standing stones was compared against the theoretical distribution to show that the occurrence of straight lines was no more than average.
Yeah, because they just made it fucking random and chaotic, and they went, "Hey, look, we just
Yeah.
created your dumb theory in about like fucking 10 seconds."
Let's see. Archaeologists note that history holds no evidence that ley lines were recognized a recognized phenomenon in British societies. Again, just British societies, and attempts to draw them were linking structures built in different periods. A quote from John Bruno Hare, early British trackways. Watkins never, oh God, it's this guy again. Watkins never attributed any supernatural significance. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It is this guy. I didn't mean to say it like that. Watkins never attributed any supernatural significance to leys. He believed that they were simply pathways that had been used for trade or ceremonial purposes very ancient, very long ago in origin, or very ancient in origin, my bad. Possibly dating back to Neolithic, certainly pre-Roman. His obsession with the leys was a natural outgrowth of his interest in landscape photography and a love of the British countryside. He was an intensely rational person with an active intellect, and I think he would be a bit disappointed with some of the fringe aspects of the ley lines today. That is a quote from John Bruno Hare in Early British Trackway Index.
Yeah, look, here's the thing. Watkins basically walked out and went, "Oh, my nephew or my next door neighbor, aligned his gnomes in his garden.
Yeah,
That's interesting. How many other gardens have aligned gnomes?" It wasn't like aliens.
Yeah. This is true. He wasn't. Yeah, I think he'd be very disappointed.
He had a piqued curiosity at something that was a
Yeah.
little off. And you know what? I think he was right on the fucking money that it indicated pathways. Like, if you pass the fucking torches of Rohan, guess what? You're going towards fucking Gondor.
Man, it's a good scene. I rewatch that scene sometimes. So we've got a case closed on this, except ... Magnetic ley lines have been proven to exist, and the pyramids do line up with pretty much a lot of these monuments, and not the British ones.
They don't align all together, though.
No, that's true.
I had to look that one up, and it took me a while to figure it out. Fucking okay, we're doing pyramids next, and this thing was a goddamn research paper. I walked into it, and I was like, "Oh, I'll just do some pyramids," and it turns out there's a lot of information on pyramids. So
not just the ones in Egypt either.
Yeah,
Well, they have been around for a while.
when I was up to like midnight working on this, like I was just like, I'm back in fucking college, so fantastic. But I learned a lot of shit about pyramids. I will tell you that much. We're gonna have a fun episode with that.
We're gonna have a fun episode. I mean, okay, look, this is what I was saying. So if you've got like a pyramid that appears to have lines intercrossing, right? You've got this line and this line, and you take that and extrapolate it around the globe, not the flat Earth, the globe. That's at least, if once they meet, that's 26,000 miles of shit that they could pass through.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's no coincidence that straight lines tend to pass through stuff, especially when I was reading one where it was like the Giza line, connects with the South American pyramid, and I was like, okay. And then like I'm looking at the line and it goes all the way towards America or something, and then just dips down and like connects with it and comes back up, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
Drew this?
I'm like, listen, I understand the roundness of the Earth, but how the fuck are you gonna pass this off?
No. I mean, also, like, if you look at like longitudinal lines, so latitudinal lines, right, on a globe, again, arbitrary because they started in Greenwich. But longitudinal lines are actually make sense and are geologically and scientifically like set because of the equator of the Earth, which is an actual spot that matters rather than Greenwich, England.
Yeah, and
Uh,
listen, guys, in the next episode when we do pyramids, we're gonna show that they are very much capable of doing shit like this.
yeah,
The-
absolutely.
a guy took, and this is part of the episode, but a guy took fucking materials that would only be available during Egypt times and aligned a pyramid with it.
I mean, yeah, but I do want to talk about this. So we have so magnetic lines are proven, right? Like if you look at like the magnetic map of the Earth, right? You've got the Earth here, and coming from the poles, you've got these like lines that go from the North Pole to the South Pole, and they create this like, ever churning magnetic field that basically makes it so that we can live on Earth because it blocks the radiation from the sun. But you have to also think that when you look at it if you turn that around, right? Like the sun is here, the lines go like this. This line goes here, but the back line goes whoop.
Oh yeah.
Because the sun is pushing radiation to the Earth and the magnetic field is being pushed back.
And I don't
So-
doubt. Look, here's the thing. I think there's moments of truth in this, like there is in everything.
Yeah, 100%.
And that the magnetic lines are a thing. And yes, we probably did feel them a lot better when we weren't constantly surrounded by electrical fields.
Well, yeah, we're surrounded by magnetic fields too. I mean, like,
Yeah.
this is why ghost hunting is so weird and kind of can be wrong. Is that like you can't you can measure an electromagnetic field in a house, and there might be transient fields going by because we're carrying a giant generator in our pocket. But there you have to think that also when you look at like active maps of the magnetic field around the Earth, there are like dips and shit, and that explains places like I was saying, like the mystery spots or whatever. Some of them are bullshit, some of them aren't. But like the place in Oregon, and I haven't been there, but I've been to the place in Santa Cruz, California, where you can literally park your car or put it in neutral and go up a hill.
Is that in the middle of like a forest?
Yes.
I've
Yes,
been
it is.
there.
Okay. And the thing is, so a lot of those places, there are places that where you around the country where you put your car in neutral and it looks like you're going uphill, but actually if you like do a grading of it, it's downhill. But the place in Santa Cruz is actually like it's proven, it's been graded. You are going uphill.
Look, and that's what I mean, is like factors of this is a real thing. But there's really no fucking point in being like, hey, this is a real thing. And aliens.
And aliens.
Well, yeah, especially since we've already proved that it's Germanic Nazis living in the middle of the Earth and their power lines.
We never proved that. Do
that's
not
fact.
cite that.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
And we also proved that the Stonehenge Highlander, because there can only be one.
Okay, I feel
What else
like
did we?
Alex,
what else did
Alex
we
didn't
prove?
really study this that much. Oh, and also, I guess since we're going off Tony Wedd's ideas, yeah, Gondor existed.
No, Gondor is fiction
No,
created
no,
by
you
J.R.R.
can just add
Tolkien.
whatever you want to any book, apparently. So if you're gonna say that Atlantis is a thing, you know what? Fucking so is Gondor.
Hey, I've watched Stargate Atlantis. I've seen that documentary, and I know Atlantis exists. They made a whole show on it. There's 5 seasons of them living in Atlantis.
It's true. It's true.
You're telling me that's not real?
That is a
Hashtag
documentary.
Not real facts.
You know what's crazy though is I don't know how. No one talks about how Jason Momoa lived in Atlantis and that he's actually an alien. It's crazy to think
I
about.
know.
It's
Now that I
nuts.
can believe.
Man, fucking Aquaman. It's so
Okay,
Anyways,
so we're calling it.
let's wrap this shit up.
Oh my god. Guys, I'm oh, that is the starting screen. I am Kenny Crook Irish Kirby. Keep it weird.
And you can just call me Murder and give me action or give me death.
And as always, temporarily special guest Alex, affecting all the ley lines as he moves around the world.
That I believe.
That's hard fact.
Have a
Going out
good
on the
night,
internet.
Soups, and
Okay.
cheers with A1
Yeah.
or A.
Thank you for
A&W
watching. Thank you for watching. All right, guys. I have to get up very early tomorrow to drive home. So
Yeah,
I
same
gotta-
here.
We'll have
All
to
right.
piece these episodes together.
No, that's good. I'll be able to do it. Don't worry.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Good night, guys.
Peace out.
Night.